So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Danny Fitzgerald. I'm the Regional Director for the San Diego and Imperial Small Business Development Center Network, and we're happy to partner with the City of San Diego and the San Diego Foundation on assisting small businesses and nonprofits to get the relief they need. And so want to, in particular, thank Mayor Gloria and turn it over to him.
Thank you, Danny. You guys love it. He is so efficient, and that's where we want to be today. I know as small business folks, you don't have a lot of time on your hands generally, and time is money. So we want to get this information to you quickly and answer some questions that you may have. I think Danny will ask you to put those in the chat because we know we're expecting a lot of folks today. But Danny, thank you so much for leading today's conversation here with an all-star cast of local leaders, all focused on trying to support our local small businesses. I will tell you that like many of your businesses, the city certainly has suffered through the pandemic. Obviously, when people are not traveling to San Diego, that harms our revenues. When people are not spending at your businesses, that harms our city's revenues. And I will tell you that the extent that we're not shuttering libraries, rec centers, laying off firefighters and police officers has everything to do with the fact that the American Rescue Plan, passed by Congress and supported, of course, by President Biden, sent the city a substantial sum of money. And while we needed every nickel of that money to make sure that we are keeping the city together through these difficult times, the city council and I agreed that we needed to continue the small business relief efforts that we did last year, but to really augment them really substantially. The dollar amount we're talking about is quite a bit more than what was dispersed last year. Some of you may have been able to be successfully receive those funds last year, and that's great. We wanted to build upon the lessons learned from last year. Namely not having a website crash when you apply, or some of the other challenges. But we were making it up as we went. Last year, there was obviously everyone was struggling, but I also recognize that people continue to struggle. I just came from San Ysidro. The continued closure of our border means that a lot of the small businesses in that community are hurting. The economy has not fully reopened for them. Those of you in the tourist industry know that, while we are welcoming visitors here, it is not at the same level it historically has been. And so it's for those reasons that we set aside this $10 million from our relief funds to provide direct assistance to local small businesses. And I'm so grateful many of you are here to learn more about it and hopefully to eventually apply. I want to give a shout out to the San Diego Foundation. When we identified this $10 million, the San Diego Foundation, as they have throughout the pandemic, really stepped up and committed $2 million to match our $10 million, so take us to a total of $12 million fund for local small businesses, as well as nonprofit organizations who we know also have struggled in the pandemic. The point is that we know COVID's not over. We know that many of you are still struggling, like the city continues to struggle, and we want to be here to help. And so building on the lessons learned from last year, partnering with folks like the San Diego Foundation and the Small Business Development Center, we're here to give you the information on how to apply for these funds and hopefully make it successful so that you can get a portion of these dollars. Again, appreciation to everyone who's here today. Thank you for taking some of your valuable time and giving it to us. Thank you again to the SBDC and to the San Diego Foundation. And with that, I have the honor of introducing our lead on economic development here at the City of San Diego. Christina Bibler and her team have worked extremely hard, generally running a number of really important business programs, and hopefully many of you take advantage of them. Things like the storefront improvement program, our maintenance and assessment districts, and the like. But during the pandemic, have really stepped up to try and find new ways to support all of you. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce our Director of Economic Development, Christina Bibler. Christina, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor Gloria, and good afternoon. As the mayor mentioned, I'm Christina Bibler. I'm the Director of Economic Development and truly your partner in sustaining operations due to COVID impacts. You are going to learn the application process for our newest grant today in just a few minutes. But I want to share with you that we have additional funding opportunities because we know that everything out there is not a one-size-fits-all. So everything I mentioned right now, I will put in the chat. So if you're fervently writing notes, don't worry, we'll make sure to get these links to you. But first, let me share with you these additional resources as you consider your next steps. First is for businesses that have temporary outdoor operations. The city has offered a grant to assist with businesses that are conducting or constructing operations outside, outdoor decks, platforms to be compliant with the American with Disabilities Act. These grants can range from $3,000 to $5,000, and funds are still available. So if you already have those outdoor operations and have not considered augmenting them to be in compliance, there are crews that are going out, and I just want to make sure that you know this money is available to assist you, and we're happy to talk to you about that. Secondly, for businesses that are looking for more grant offers, we have a loan product that you might want to consider that exceeds the $25,000 offered. So it's $25,000 to $95,000. It has favorable terms, and this allows businesses to invest in additional personal protective equipment, air purifiers, safety signage, barriers, railings, or bringing your operations online so you can have a touchless experience for sales to customers. The next program is for the nonprofit group that is on the line today. If you are a nonprofit that is also serving small business owners, we launched a micro district capacity building grant for up to $20,000 to assist with technical assistance and any operations or equipment that may be needed if you're assisting those small businesses in communities of concern or historically underserved areas of San Diego. And last but not least, please consider my team as an ombudsman to you for assistance. We are here to help, and we will make sure that this information gets to you all. If you're not staying around, I'll put them in the chat and make sure that you have that direct connection with my staff members, and I'll put my contact information in there as well. I would like to appropriately thank the San Diego Foundation for partnering alongside my team for this grant fund, along with SBDC. So it is my pleasure to introduce next Pamela Payton, Vice President, Chief Impact Partners Officer for the San Diego Foundation.
Hi, thank you very much, Christine, and good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see all of you on the call. I want to say thank you to Mayor Gloria for the City of San Diego's support, and also to Danny. What can I say about this past year? I think we all have stories, and we'll have stories for many, many years to come about the impact the pandemic has had and will continue to have on us for quite some time. And through this time, the San Diego Foundation has worked very closely with our nonprofit community to bring relief and support as quickly as possible. In fact, over the course of the past 18 months, the foundation has contributed $66 million in funds donated to the foundation on behalf of all 380 different nonprofit organizations who have received grants from us. That was just a drip, if you will, in terms of the need. $66 million was a lot of money, but yet we had applications from hundreds more nonprofits in need of support. And this grant will allow us to continue to provide some support to those nonprofits. So at this point, I'm hearing that there are fewer than 100 of the nonprofit organizations who are eligible to apply for these funds. I hope that those of you who are on this call today and are representing the nonprofit community get your applications in, and please tell other nonprofits serving the City of San Diego to apply for a grant. We want these dollars to be as equitably distributed across the San Diego region as possible, but we can only do that if people are applying for dollars. So please encourage your friends, yourselves, get those applications in by the September 24th deadline. There is so much work to be done in our city and in our region, but it can only be done as we work together in support of our community. And so for that, I'm very grateful to you for being on the call today, and just encourage you all to share the news of this opportunity with your colleagues, friends in the nonprofit world, as well as the small businesses who are eligible. Please do so quickly. We don't want there to be anyone who was eligible but failed to apply because they did not meet the deadline. So with that, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you again to the mayor and to SBDC and the City of San Diego for this opportunity to partner with the city to support our community. And I will turn it back to Danny. Thanks again, Danny.
Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Christina. I appreciate all of you for being on and being able to be supportive of this program. And we're excited, of course, for having this program and the opportunity to be able to work with small businesses. Of course, we've been working with the small businesses since day one. I remember doing many webinars with Mayor when he was in his previous position with the state, and we certainly know as well as anybody that certainly small businesses, nonprofits certainly are suffering. So I want to kind of get into some of the nuts and bolts of this, but a couple of things just to, again, to kind of remind everybody and highlight. Of course, the program is open for applications through September 24th. We intentionally put in a very broad time. Of course, it's not first come, first serve. The applications aren't even evaluated until much later. So those are a couple of things to get out of the way at the beginning. And I'll cover a lot of this stuff as we go through the PowerPoint, which is some of that information. So let me share my screen. And so again, the main place you're going to be able to get all this information and see it is, of course, at sdreliefgrant.com. That does take you to the page that has all of the information. So, decided not to work very well. My apologies. There we go. All right. Well, we will go through it because I have it on the wrong one. See, I outthought myself. There we go. A couple of key items to know. Like I said, my apologies for that. So, of course, it's through August 11th through September 24th. It does close at 5 p.m. that day. A couple other things. The main thing is for small business, you must be located in the city of San Diego. If you're a nonprofit, you must either be located in the city of San Diego or demonstrate you serve businesses or residents of the city of San Diego. We intentionally have the proof of that broad because that could be a wide array of things. That could be evidence of a food distribution to data in terms of who you're serving, and so forth. And so that might be an array of different ways. You must have been in a business prior to April 1st, 2020. So that is something that is hard and fast. That's why certain pieces of evidence are specific for that, trying to find out some of that information. Again, if you are in business, this is a very broad definition intentionally of what makes you in business. Of course, anyone with less than 100 employees that is in business. What does that make you? Number one, you have a current City of San Diego business tax certificate. That is kind of, that's the primary, that's the main way to be able to provide that. But there are additional ways to also prove that. You don't have to provide both. If you have, you just need to provide one of these. For example, if you have a California state professional license, this could be a cosmetology license, childcare license, or something like that. Those are significant barriers to be able to get those. Those are hurdles. That proves you're in business. Very common one is that you have a 2019 tax filing with the Schedule C, or of course, subsequently would also be a 2019 tax filing. That's an 1120 or an 1120S, which are corporate tax filings, showing again, you're in business with an address in the city of San Diego. Your County of San Diego fictitious business name, or the last but not least, and this applies, for example, to some vendors and things like this. Maybe you just have a state of California sales tax certificate, but you can prove that you've made at least one payment prior to April 1st, 2020. So showing that you were in business there. So a couple of things, and this is stuff that applies to businesses in particular, are the revenue ones, because I saw the question about the nonprofits. Nonprofit revenue is much different. You still do need to be a smaller nonprofit, not some of the larger ones. The employee count does matter, but the revenue count doesn't matter as much for that as well. So it's the net profit under 150,000 or a gross revenue under 250,000 as reported for 2019. If, for example, you had revenue that was not in 2019, you weren't in business, that's when there's a couple of alternatives that we'll talk about where they are for that. So that's really what that would be. So we're going to get into that as well. So pay attention. We'll answer that question. I see your question, Carol. I'll be hitting on that along the way. So we have alternatives for that. So again, these are kind of some of the core documents which we talked about. So again, if you don't have the 2019, you have your 2020, as well as you can prove that there was income or that the business was in operation prior to April 1st, 2020. So let's say, for example, your City of San Diego business tax certificate was dated that March 15th, 2020. That would certainly prove that. You had some other types of evidence, like your California professional license came into effect before then, that also would do it. And you're also able to demonstrate what that revenue was through bank statements or through a financial statement from one of your accounting softwares or so forth. So that'd be another way in which you're able to certainly demonstrate that. So the other one is as well as a couple of other things that are ineligible. Number one is our businesses that do not operate or not located in the city of San Diego. And from a nonprofit standpoint, that would be what would be related to that would be if you do not serve the residents of city of San Diego. So let's say, for example, you are in the city of Escondido and you provide services for elementary students only in the city of Escondido. You would not be eligible for this. So that would be an example of ineligible in that and that. Of course, particular industries that are excluded. For businesses, it's more than 100 employees, and again, the revenue types of situations. The next here is more on priorities. These, and I emphasize that word priorities because that's a priority in terms of the evaluation for the grant, not for the eligibility. And we encourage everybody to apply. Please, please apply. That's what's critical. So, but if you are located in these particular geographic areas, such as the Promise Zone, which is basically Southeast San Diego, low to moderate income CDBG, so it's the Promise Zone, plus areas like City Heights, Linda Vista, and San Isidro, the Opportunity Zone, basically the same things, and then zip codes with higher than average unemployment rates, which are very similar types of areas I just mentioned. Does not disqualify you for that, but that's where that would particularly was. And so the other aspects are is also if you did not receive any previous COVID relief. We realize the vast majority have received some. Again, that does not preclude you. It's just if you did not receive any, you are a priority for this program. And then, of course, the targeted industries, such as your leisure and hospitality, food and beverage, tourism, health and social assistance, as well as professional services. That could be cosmetology, also, childcare, special events, all of those types of things are particularly priorities. So those are a couple of types of things as well. So those are a couple of the key things to be able to look at. This is kind of an example of what the website is on. Of course, now it doesn't say coming soon. It gives you the particular application. We have recorded webinars on here, as well as information for that as well. The application, fairly straightforward. So the first things you come to is that you're giving your email address. You're indicating you are a for-profit business, because if you're not for-profit, you need to go through the nonprofit one, and that's the one you'd want to make sure you go through. And then what your business zip code is. That's just a filter. That way it's whether or not you're selecting a City of San Diego business zip code, because you have to be in the City of San Diego to be eligible. And if you put in like a 91910 because you're in Chula Vista, well, you just won't have to complete the rest of the application. That's intentional, just so people don't do work they don't need to do. Then after that, basic demographic information: name, phone number, business name, business address, as well as the type of industry that you are in. And so that's some of the things that you certainly would want to be able to put in, because we're looking with those priorities and what that is. Then if whether or not you received COVID assistance in the past and what that is as well. And so you might identify that. So let's say, for example, you received the California Relief Grant, which someone mentioned before, and this is a separate program. And so you may have received that, and maybe you received last year in early 2020, the EIDL grant. So that was the one where you went in, got your form, and the money showed up in your bank account. That was that one. Then the supporting documentation, what that is. So this is important because I see a lot of questions that are around this. So a couple of things that I want to focus on. The biggest thing is if you were in business in 2019 and you have your 2019, which means you should have your 2019 tax returns. That is the best, that's the number one thing you need to provide. If you do not have that, then you would need to provide your 2020 tax returns and/or some 2020 bank statements, evidence of income, or that you were in operation. Again, and the income is ensuring that you are eligible within some of those income limits that were discussed. Then again, the proof of business that you are in the City of San Diego, for example, your business tax certificate, or maybe even your cosmetology license if you're a barber or someone like that. And then do provide your W-9. It is something that's going to be required for the grant. And so that is something that, because again, since it involves payments, that's just preparation in the event that you are awarded the grant. So again, I want to review this. 2019 tax returns are the most important thing. If you do not have 2019 tax returns because you started your business after 2019, but before April 1st, that's when you need to provide the other information. If you can provide your 2020 tax returns, please do, but it's not a 100% requirement if you have your 2019 tax returns. Hopefully that clears up, because I saw a couple of questions on that certainly in the chat. After that, demographic information. This is something certainly to help the city in terms of its programs and all of that. Then a simple certification for this, and that's really certifying that everything you put in there is true and correct. Yes, you are certifying that this is true and correct, not providing fraudulent information. So that's certainly something that's important for that. So that may disqualify as well. So that's really in a nutshell what the application is. So again, it is very, very basic, intentional. Just provide the information accurately. You will get an email upon completion of it automatically from the form, where you'll get that information. Applications are not being reviewed for grants until the program closes. So understand that. Grants will not be issued until after the program closes and at least 10 days after that as well. So they will not start being issued until October, because there's going to be a short, what we call a cure period, just for folks that if, say, for example, there is, you open up the file, there's the 2019 tax return, and it's a bunch of blank pages. Perhaps someone accidentally, all done this, put the scan in face up instead of face down and accidentally misscanned it. So give somebody the opportunity to get the correct documentation. So that's where that would be. So that's what you want to look at. Carol, I see your question in terms of the sales. So that's a good question. So let me kind of go through some of these real quick. So if your gross sales were above 250,000, but what were your net sales? So take a look at what your net versus your gross. Understand that there's two options. If your net sales were under the 150,000, you'd still be eligible, even with your gross sales. There's applications that are in there that have gross sales in the many hundreds of thousands of dollars, but their net profit for 2019 was very, very low. There's plenty of businesses that happens, especially ones like restaurants is a great example. And so that might be something as well. So you do need to, so Amber, 2019 revenue was normal, 2019 was low. 2019 is a requirement if you have, because the eligibility is based upon your 2019 revenue, unless you weren't in business in 2019 and you started your business in January, February, and March of 2020. So again, want to emphasize that point again, because I see that as a point. 2019 tax returns are the most required document. The only exception is if you started your business, like the example in the question, in March of 2020. So understand that that's where that one's very, very important. So that's I think there's that one. So I see the other question, for the nonprofit to apply, they need to be serving small businesses. No, that is incorrect. You need to be serving residents or businesses in the city of San Diego. That's what that is for. That's where that is as well. Then would be awarded this grant affect eligibility for CARES Act loans? Christina, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not think so.
Repeat the question again.
So it's, will be awarded this grant affect their eligibility for one of your CARES Act loans?
Oh, no.
There's your answer. So the application, when and where is it? Again, I'm going to come back to all the way to that here at the end. There you go, SD relief grant, and the last day is September 24th. So did want to be able to have that information in there. Nonprofits need to submit their 2019 tax forms 990. That's perfect. You're able to submit that as well. So wanted to be line 21 on a form 1120S. I want to say yes, that would be your net. I'm 99% sure, but I don't have 1120S in front of me. So, but yes, it is clearly identified as what your net is. So one other thing I wanted to just highlight, since we have a minute or two more, is just the California Relief Grant does open up again. It is open right now for arts and cultural nonprofits. They have plenty of money for arts and cultural nonprofits. So if you did not apply for that, absolutely positively apply for it. It does open again for small businesses. If you didn't apply in the past, never applied in the past for California Relief Grant, you still have an opportunity, one more chance, September 9th through September 30th. And we do have information on that as well on our website. So that's where that would be. So there's that information again. So I think we have Sean, it's okay for nonprofits not to submit a 2020 while we're still completing our audit. Sean, as long as you submit your 2019. So that's the answer to that. And I see John asked a question, if you started a business, but because of the pandemic, you're not able to open. Again, you have to demonstrate you were in business prior to April 1st, 2020. However you can prove that, that could be done in a variety of ways as we demonstrated. So I think that got all the questions. Susan, were there any that I missed?
Danny, you're getting really good at this. I think you hit them all.
Let's
You're
see, a year and a half
talking
ago, I
and keeping
practiced
up
a
with
lot
the
when
chat.
when Mayor Gloria and I did a whole bunch when he was in the state. So we used to have like thousands of questions. So
The only thing I would add on the last question, do they have to be in business? Yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you were seeing a client at that time. You may have started your whole business process and invested your savings and done all of these things. And your restaurant was just about to open its doors, or maybe that's not a good example, but your business was in some capacity that you were technically already in business, even if you weren't having sales or things at that time. So if you're unsure, reach out to Danny. They have lots of one-on-one advisors, or you can contact us. and we can walk through and listen to your exact scenario and see if we can help you, because the goal is to help as many people as possible.
Exactly, because there's a lot of ways you can demonstrate and prove that, and you can schedule an appointment with one of the advisors. We have some of our community partners here. I see we have from City Heights CDC and from Logan Heights CDC as well that are on here, and some of that. So I see a couple of other questions. Bob asked about why certain types of businesses aren't allowed. Those are federal rules that are specifically prohibited, and so that is just a very specific thing that's in the federal code in terms of why those aren't allowed. And Laura asked, what proof is serving in San Diego acceptable? And again, that's a great question because we get that all the time. And intentionally it's broad, is what you think is proving it. Because nonprofits serve in a myriad of ways that you could be serving. And so we want to make sure you're able to demonstrate that. That's why for nonprofits, we ask for your website as well as your mission statement in addition to that proof, because that may be shown in different ways. That may be shown with food distribution events where you have flyers, where you have food distribution events, say in City Heights or in Southeast San Diego. Maybe it's that you are serving students at San Diego Unified Schools. And so that may be a different ways you're able to prove that and so forth. Karen asked, can you define COVID relief funding? Are you looking for just government money? Anything that was a grant. So that could be a philanthropic one as well. So if you did receive, say, a grant from like Verizon, I know had a program for a little while, please do include that as well. That's just, again, with the priority is for folks that did not receive any, due to whatever barriers they faced during that time period. So again, sdreliefgrant.com. You'll get all the information. You can schedule a one-on-one appointment. We'll have the recording for this webinar. We have how-to recordings on how to apply in about 9 different languages in addition to English. And you can always get one-on-one assistance to be able to go through that. So you still have until the September 24th. And so please do get your application in. Please reach out to your friends, your neighbors, make sure they're able to apply as well. We're certainly here to help. So again, thank you. Mayor, Christina, anyone else have anything else?
Always grateful for you, Danny. Thanks for doing such a great job.
Thank you very much.
I was just going to add that if you are a provider and you're helping businesses and you're going to be a pass-through to maybe provide some technical assistance, it would behoove you to either meet with my team or with Danny's team so that we can either provide you with the information we've put out here. There's more information also on the city's website where you can repost that and reshare the link. So we don't want you to reinvent the wheel or have to recreate the information. Please use what we've already provided out there to get out to your members and or your clients. So thank you.
Danny, there's one question in there from Carol Valdez.
So I gave her an email address she can send her information to, and we can verify.
Perfect. And everyone, don't be surprised if you receive a follow-up telephone call. We are on a daily basis looking at your applications, and if we see you're missing something or we're confused by something in it, we're trying to cure all of those right away. So our different outreach partners, or sometimes even Danny or I, will call you and ask you and log in with you to help you cure your application. So please return those calls and don't be surprised if you get them.
Right. And again, this is to help, like we said, there may be, and this is not to, it may, questions. It's like I said, where there's the obvious errors, like instead of uploading my City of San Diego business tax certificate, I uploaded a picture of my dog, who knows what. Or like I said, the most common one I'm sure is with all scanned face up instead of face down. So
send the dog pictures to the mayor. He would enjoy those.
Yeah, that's true.
Send the tax receipts to Danny and company.
So absolutely, we know those mistakes can happen, and we know some of those. And so, when our partners are having, where we, if you need particular, we know some of the barriers might be technology or scanners or things like that. We have community organizations spread throughout the city that are there to help. We also, many of them are even having pop-up, labs, in other words, with computers and scanners to be able to assist you. So if you need any type of assistance like that, we're certainly there to make sure that can happen. So again, we will have a recording for this. We'll send to everybody who registered and also post it on our website. So again, thank you to the city, thank you to the City and San Diego Foundation, and certainly to all of you.
Bye, everyone.